What's up, guys? I'm Nick, and this is Build That Build, a place where we bougie. We bougie like natty ice in a can, in that cardboard 12-pack cooler. All right, guys, on this episode, we're gonna be building a crosscut sled. My thought is to have like a several-part series of how to make and sell cutting boards. So in this first episode, we're gonna learn how to make a crosscut sled because you can use that for other things, but you could also use that to make cutting boards. And I wanted to make sure that each one of these episodes was kind of standalone, so you didn't have to watch all of them if you didn't want to. That being said,
let's get on it.
I understand that lumber, especially plywood, is still pretty expensive. However, I did pick up a piece of Baltic birch, radiata pine for like 22 bucks. I heard that wood prices should be going down shortly, but I understand that we're kind of doing this on a budget when it comes to materials. So what I'm gonna try to do is get all the pieces out of one piece of 2x4 plywood, except the rails that are gonna slide on the table saw. I did pick up a piece of MDF. I'm sure somebody's gonna tell me not to use MDF. We'll find out. I bought the MDF because it was about half the price of a 1/4-inch piece of plywood. It's my understanding that plywood and manufactured materials work best for the rails because they won't swell and contract with humidity and things like that. So we're gonna find out if MDF works. If you absolutely don't think MDF is gonna work, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so if this is like 4-eyes furniture or something like that, I'm sure there'd be a really cool computer animation that's gonna show you how we're gonna do all this stuff. This is not one of those channels.
We ain't that fancy.
Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna measure over 32 inches. My deck is about 30 inches on my table saw, so I'm going off that. You may wanna change that up, depending on what kind of saw you're using. So we'll use this for any extra material that we need. Come in 15.5 inches. Try not to knock that off. Get this on here. Okay, so the idea is, this is the sled. To make the most of the rest of our material, we're gonna make the back and front rails out of what we have left over here. I'm gonna make those rails 2 inches high, which means that, basically come up here. It's about the width of this, isn't it? All right, this is gonna be the front and back rails. We're going to cut these and then laminate them together. I'm just kind of marking these out, but once I get this piece cut out, I'm gonna use the table saw to cut these down. So I know that they're all the same width. This is gonna be a smaller crosscut sled in the sense that I don't ever see me putting anything more than 10 inches wide in it. If I need to do that, we will come up with a different solution, or maybe I'd make a bigger sled. I want it to be long enough and have enough surface area on the sled to be functional for making cutting boards and things like that. But I also want it to be manageable. 3/4-inch ply is heavy as it is, so we want to try to kind of take anything that we can off of it. And we're gonna start this first cutout with my circular saw. Why? Because I don't have a crosscut sled, and that's a crosscut. All right, let's get to work. So people always ask me why I bring this up so far when I'm doing plywood. And the reason is the approach angle gives you less tear out. Normally when you're doing a regular 1x4 or 1x or 2x piece, you want the blade to just barely peek over the top of the wood. But in this case, you want this surface area here to be a little bit more so you get less tear out. All right, I raided my sack of nickels.
If you know, you know.
And I got these pennies, and all I'm gonna use them for as spacers. I actually ran out of pennies too, there's a dime in there too, because back in college, they used to call me dime at a time. See, so I'm gonna go 3 pennies and a dime, 3 pennies and a dime. What I did is I cut this down so it slides good in the track. I left it a little long We'll trim that later, but basically you want this to just sit right flush with the table. I have a slight discrepancy with how deep these are. All right, that's just about there. I think I have one of those like Sacagawea pennies in here that's not the same. Drops of Starbond. Or just a line of Starbond. They used to call me line at a time. I'm gonna use these to eyeball where it's gonna go on the sled. I'm gonna take the accelerator, hit that area right there, and then we're gonna drop it down. So here's what they're not telling you guys. When you make one of these sleds, like look at this, okay, so there is, see that little gap right there? See that little gap? And I don't know if you can really tell, but there's a little bit of a lip here where this bows out just slightly. If I keep this flush, it bows out a little bit. None of that matters. Okay, it's not gonna affect, that's the back of the sled or the sled that's gonna be furthest away from you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that's flush. None of that. So like those little nuances that you may see like like you'll see a thumbnail or something and it looks like it's perfect. It's not perfect. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe some guys get it perfect. Most people, like this is a sled. This is a jig. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even really have to be pretty. It just needs to get the job done. So just keep that in mind, okay? When you see, when people don't tell you that they have a gap and they didn't do anything to fill it. All right, and before we get this thing tuned in, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody for sticking around. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, do me a favor and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything and it really helps me out. But speaking of costing you things, I would just like to say thank you to all my patrons. These guys are the ones that keep the lights on in the shop. They make the magic happen and I love each and every one of you. But especially my Boilermaker patrons or my top tier patrons. Stephen Mann, Eric Weiss, Derek Coates, Chuck Faulkner, Puffy Muffins, Mike Penrod, Zach Z, and Andy the Viking. I virtually clinkies you. And guys, if you haven't checked out my Patreon page yet, head on over. We're making some changes right now. Check it out. Join up if that's your thing. Hooty hoot. Okay, so we do not want to glue this back or front rail in, I guess. We're calling this one the front. The one closest to me is the front. This is the back. I don't think anybody really knows which one's which. The reason you don't want to glue this one in is because we're going to use this to fine tune. We're gonna put one screw in a corner, we're gonna raise the blade, we're gonna cut into the sled, and then we're gonna take our 90 off of the blade. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Just to ensure that this is slick as a girl on prom night, we are going to put a little paste wax on it. That's it. That's all we're doing today. Of course, we're gonna put some stank on it. You guys ask me a lot if you can burn plywood. You can, but you gotta move fast. And you can only do a surface burn, or you can risk burning the glue in between the plies and it'll bubble on you. I always said if I ever had a crosscut sled, I'm gonna just make it look like I might have cut something off on it at one point in time. By no means is this still a tutorial at this time. This is just me having fun. Much better. All right, guys, I hope you liked the video. Thanks for playing. And now I gotta get to work. What's up, guys? I'm Nick, and this is Build Dead Build. And we bougie. Oh, shit. No. Be right back, because they used to call me 2 dimes at a time back in college. Yo mama, my mama, yo mama, my mama. Damn it, lawn people! Can you even hear that? Does this pick up on the mic? It's loud as shit in here right now, so I'm assuming you can hear that. Stop. They make the magic happen, and I love each and every one of you. I love you and you and you. Especially you. Come here, you scamp. All right, guys. I hope you liked the video.